Okay, so the question of the week is if
I just,
a
I, yeah, I just want to type it in. Sorry.
you want to type it in?
We have the weekly question on the spreadsheet, and I didn't type it earlier, so I'm typing it now.
Oh, okay. The question of the week is if a GIF of you were to become an instantly recognizable meme, what would you be doing? Because let's see. I feel like if I even just type in the word Sulu, it's going to be the first thing is going to be an
Pretty,
image from this. Oh, out of the first four, it's not. The fifth one is him naked jumping in to the room with the sword. Not naked, but
yeah,
it's
shirtless. Yeah.
yeah, which was real popular. These men wanted to show their
I mean,
manly chests.
looking at them, they're pretty decently stacked for the most part. So, like, I'm not surprised. They looked halfway decent for the time, you know?
Oh, Sulu was in his.
Oh, he was in his prime. He
He
looked
was
excellent.
ripped. Yeah,
I don't even know. Oh my god, I'm so boring.
it's actually kind of a hard question. Like, what type of I have to say looking out my bathroom window, smoking a pipe.
I don't know. It's either that or a picture of you from behind and don't look at my butt. Like those are my two for you. You know what I mean? Either
Wow,
somehow getting stoned or you like looking over your shoulder at the camera and saying like, "Don't look at my butt."
I haven't said that in a while.
Yeah, well, you. It was
I
it was
used to
such a
every day.
thing.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess me giving the middle finger is the best I've got. Like I swear a lot and
That's
tell you to go
fine.
to hell a lot, but I'm boring. I'm not interesting. You're at least interesting. I'm boring.
I'm not interesting.
I have the wrong
I
glasses for this.
I don't want people. I don't want anyone getting the idea that I'm an interesting person.
I find you interesting, so too bad. Already happened. Too late.
Oh well. I guess that's where we're at then.
Yeah, no, I'm still trying to think and like I've got nothing.
I mean, I think GIF of you giving the middle finger. Then I'll have to figure out how to make GIFs, and we'll have to make GIFs of everyone that answers this question doing their thing. There is a GIF of me that gets posted from time to time of me like in a dorm room kitchen, like pumping both my fists in the air.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what
Yeah.
does come to mind is a high five with instead of I don't high five, oh I like that. It's like your head banging.
Yeah. That's the one.
I
So
love
that's
that. I fucking love that shit.
that's the GIF of me that is on the internet, as
I
far
love
as I
that.
know.
That's excellent. No, I think I'm gonna amend high five, but I don't high five with my hand with chaos. I usually use my head.
Oh, great.
So I use like
'Cause-
my forehead to his hand.
okay. Yeah, that's cute. I like that.
I don't remember when it started. It started years ago, and now where I've got shitty wrists, like I'm not carpal tunnel, but it's not great. I just do that now, so I don't have to hit with my hand and don't hurt my wrists.
Oh,
And I've been doing that for like, oh, fuck, like 10 years at least now.
smart.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's my gif.
I like
Me
it.
giving chaos a high five, but I don't use my hand. I use my forehead on his hand.
I'm gonna figure out how to make GIFs out of videos if people want to send in videos of the. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't.
I think, no offense, excuse me. I think you have enough projects for now.
I think so too.
Maybe try and keep your projects where they're at until you get a bit more automated on them, so it's not as much of your time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It looks like you're starting the curse this week too, eh?
No, we watched The Curse already. I haven't updated that in a
Oh,
long
okay.
time. I'm terrible. I always every once a year in the spring, I post a schedule and I'm like, here it is. Maybe I'll keep this updated this time, and I just don't.
I was,
It would be smart because now I've moved where Star Trek is and other
yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
How was it though? How was the curse? I've been looking at it, meaning to watch it.
it is intensely uncomfortable.
Okay, to
It's really
clarify, because
it's
certain uncomfortables I can't do. Is it more like body horror uncomfortable, or is it like supernatural uncomfortable, or like dark themes like suicide type uncomfortable?
no, it's none of those things.
May I ask a generic, without getting into details, what kind of uncomfortable it is?
It is about three people that are trying to make a reality show about their philanthropy and how they're giving back to this community. And they're just garbage people. They're just full of shit. They're lying to each other. They're people whose whole personas have become a narrative. And the way the show presents these things and the tension between the characters that results from the fact, like, you just watch them lying to each other and digging themselves worse and worse in everything that they do. And, you know, the idea, the image they're presenting as philanthropists is bullshit. You know, they're land developers, they're building houses and increasing the rent and stuff like that. And it's saying a lot about gentrification. It's saying a lot about a lot of things, but really it is talking a lot about just bullshit people. And it's just awful.
All right. I'm going to give it a go then.
I've gone through a lot of phases saying that different things in the show or different characters are in fact the curse, and I think that that show is the curse.
Fair enough.
Upon us, or me, who will have to think about it for the rest of his life now.
Fair enough. No, like I said, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to be something that I couldn't sit through.
It's really, it's really not horror. It's really not any of those kind of things, but it is like, it's almost like, the thing I've kind of been talking about scripted people and people that just have a narrative that they will talk themselves into more corners to preserve this narrative that they desperately want to put out there. Like, that they become not only impossible to talk to, but dangerous. Like, yeah.
No, it sounds like it's just really heavy social commentary.
Yes.
And that's, honestly, I can sit through that a lot better than some of the other stuff that's out there. Like, the Volo Eye scene, I can't do. I hate that scene in Baldur's Gate 3. So, like, if it's not that kind of uncomfortable, I can usually put up with it, but...
Which scene? The guy, the bard that gets the needle out?
He gets the needle in your eye, and he pokes around your eye to try and get the tadpole out, but can't get the tadpole out, and you lose an eye in the process. Yeah.
Why would you let him do that?
Oh, because the eye that he gives you permanent invisibility.
That's right. Okay, yeah.
So what I do is I take my headphones off and I spam 1 until it's over. Because 1 is let him keep going. You know what I mean? So you just sit there and you hit 1. You close you keep your eyes down so you can't actually see what's happening, but you can see when the scene is done. And you take your headphones off so you don't have to hear it at all, and you just get through it. I've actually, to date, not been able to sit through the whole thing. I've managed a couple parts of it, but like by the time we get to there's he sticks the needle in the eye and then he can't find it, so he has to switch out his tool. And before he can switch out his tool, I can't watch anymore.
It's a raunchy scene.
It is, and I cannot deal with it. And I'm sure there's people out there who are fine with it, but no, it just makes me queasy.
It's just it's
unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
Beyond the body horror of it, which things about pulling teeth and poking out eyes and stuff, that gets to me pretty good. But we meet this man surrounded by poop and goblins.
No,
he's bad at...
We first run into him in the Druid's Grove, and he's hanging out with a bear, and he asks you about the attack on the Druid Grove with the goblins.
Okay.
And then he goes to the goblin camp.
Well, from what I've seen of him and the conversations I've had, I would not ask him to remove a splinter from my leg.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree on that 100%. Yeah.
And if I did, when he pulled out a 2-foot-long rusty sewing needle, I would say, okay, let's stop here. And I know you get a special eye that sees invisible objects, but I don't know that he's got that in his pocket.
Exactly.
He has no idea. He's never seen the inside of a brain.
100%
He doesn't.
No.
He does not have experience fishing tadpoles out of brain. This is it. This is madness. What's happening?
Oh, and Sean actually pointed out when we were watching Honor Among Thieves with my nephew on Saturday, because he came over and got stoned with us pretty bad on Friday.
Awesome.
Oh, Oh man, no, it was way more pot than I should have had. I was fucked. But
Cool.
we're watching Honor Among Thieves, and you know the painting that they use to put the spell, like the portal on to be able to get into the vault?
Yes.
That's Volo. That's that guy. It's a
Really?
painting of him, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he came up and like, wait, is that Volo? And Sean's like, yeah. I'm like, well, shit, GG game.
Is who's that mage, Gale? Is he from some other games or material, or is he somehow?
I don't know myself. He's supposed to be in Waterdeep, but I don't know where he's from otherwise.
Yeah, I don't know why I got that feeling from him that he was in some kind of other material. But...
I think it's because he's an archdruid, so it feels not archdruid, archmage, so it feels like he should be somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like he feels like he should be a very common name, and he isn't. And I don't know. I don't know. That's the best I've got. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm gonna order some WD-40. I already did. I already ordered some WD-40. Maybe it will come tomorrow for my chair because it creaks. I don't know if you can hear it, but I definitely can on the recordings. Oh, I made a noise and my cat woke up my cat and she complained at me. It's me from the future, me right now, Sunday as I'm editing this, and I just want to say I've used that WD-40. My chair is pretty silent. I'm rocking back and forth in it right now. I mean, I know I'm talking at the same time, but listen to this. Oh, there's music playing. Anyway, there's still a few little creaks and complaints that it produces, but the main hinge creaking has been quite silented. I'm really getting my shit together. I've done a lot of cleaning up around the house and throwing out junk and silencing my creaky chair, and my little to-do list is I feel great about where it is. Next week, I'll probably be crashing out again. Anyway, great to have you here. I'll do the real intro after me and Chris finish talking about whatever bullshit we're talking about.
Off and on, I hear, but not badly enough to really comment.
So I was going to say something about how Charlie and Gary Mitchell both get trapped behind force fields, but I kind of already touched on it in the Charlie X episode that I just published. And I'm saying that kind of because I told you I was going to talk about this. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've got it. What
was the other corrections we needed?
As far as I know, that's the only clarification I kind of had, and I feel like we've talked about it. Basically, those two episodes are incredibly similar.
They are, and it feels weird that they put them both out back to back like that.
But as far as corrections or clarifications, I don't think I had anything else other than what we were talking about, how I skip season 1 and 2 of all 3 of the 90s shows, which, I mean, obviously I'm going to end up watching them for this, but I'll probably watch them beforehand. I watch all 3 of those like probably once a year.
Yeah, see, I don't. I literally, I don't remember the last time I watched through Star Trek other than like the once back in college for Voyager. And I know, again, a couple times since then I've tried to do TNG.
Yeah.
But I keep not being able to, and like, that's it. Like, I barely...
It's hard. TNG is hard to start.
The whole series, honestly, if I hadn't said I'm sitting down and watching it and we're doing this podcast that's helping me, I'd have had trouble even with the original series. Like, getting back into it, like, this can be hard. This is hard, even.
Yeah.
It's not that the episodes are bad, it's just...
It's the 60s, and it's that stage play aspect that we kind of talked about.
Yeah, and it's the fact that it feels slow. It just feels like a slow show. And I forgot how slow it felt like.
It wants to give you room to breathe and think about it. It was like, yeah.
They want you to chew on it. It's supposed to be a chewy show, and in a lot of ways it is, but I think it would have been a chewier show if it was the 60s rather than like now looking back on this thing from 60 years ago where it's like, yeah, no, that stuff sucked, but like a lot of it we've worked on already, you know?
Yeah.
In watching TNG through on my own, apart from this podcast recently, like I've run into the Ferengi.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Star Trek lore, and I want to make that very clear. Like, this isn't me being like, oh, I have no idea what Star Trek is like. I'm aware. But, like, their insistence on women not wearing clothing being so blown away that there's women in clothing out and about doing things.
The Ferengi are bad.
And again, it's that ongoing thing that I keep mentioning to you, where it's like, no, I know this is a thing. It's so much worse than I remember it being.
Yeah.
And so there was one episode where there's like 3 guys who are sent down to the planet. It's the Portal episode with the Ferengi ship and the Enterprise are both having all their power sapped from them. And so the Enterprise sends down like Data, Worf, Geordi, Riker, and Yar. And they send down 3 Ferengis from this Ferengi ship. And the 3 Ferengis are disgusted. And they're like, they are absolutely
horrified,
offended, and just like, why would you put this in front of me? Why is there a woman in clothing, and how dare she have a weapon? And like, they attack her for having the audacity to have a job and being active, and I'm like, the misogyny. And again, I know it's part of the show, but like, I forget, you know what I mean?
It's kind of like when I talk about Stephen King and reading Stephen King characters and knowing that they're characters that are being really misogynistic and racist, but like, someone did have to write this.
And it makes you wonder how much of this was actually believed by the writer and how much of this was just them trying to be all like, oh, look, other people believe this, but it's not me. I'm just shining a light on their awfulness, you know? That's
often, and it has to be left to the viewer's interpretation, but you know, it's not like, someone is putting this in front of you for a reason. And sometimes the reason is just for you to think about it. And that's something that's great about Star Trek, actually.
No, I love it.
That's rough, and that's even in the early 90s. That's pretty. I mean, the 90s were a monstrous time.
And like I said, it comes out of nowhere to me because, like, again, I've forgotten how bad it was. You know what I mean?
I mentioned. Like, please.
No, it's just the again, that sigh of just no, please no.
I've talked before about a sort of phenomena in 90s television and storytelling where, like, and I wish I knew, I'm interjecting here, I wish I knew where I had heard this, and I heard something recently after this recording, but someone described sort of casual 90s racism to me, especially in storytelling, writing, and television, as shorthand through stereotyping. And I think that's what I'm about to describe right here. Using really over-the-top stereotypes was just a type of storytelling. It was a way to be like, these are the bad guys. Look at these stereotypes that they're espousing. And like, it was really, but I mean, also you would just slap a stereotype on, you know, a gay character or even a black character or something. And that would be how you identified them in the script. And there was just this oversimplification of everything.
Yeah. No, there is. I feel like storytelling, and that might be why I've been having so much trouble getting back into like TNG and stuff over the years. Storytelling as a whole, I feel like has gotten a lot more nuanced.
Yes.
In the last like 20 years, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that could just be me with the specific types of media I've chosen to consume versus what I was choosing to consume before that. But yeah, I just feel like storytelling is less. Overall, the stuff I'm consuming is less blatant and less overt than it used to be.
Sure.
I don't know.
And the reason that I mentioned that I usually skip the first 2 seasons of TNG in particular is that an episode I haven't seen too much is the episode with Tasha Yar and Data, The Naked Now.
Yeah, that one. Wow.
And that's obviously a very iconic union of characters.
I assure you, I am fully functional.
Oh yeah, a lot of people talk about Tasha Yar and the fact that Data was fully functional. It's almost as famous as Sulu jumping out of the doorway with no shirt on and waving a sword.
Yeah,
like the famous GIF, like the 5th GIF that comes up if you type in Sulu on Discord on this day on my computer. I don't know if the algorithm serves me less naked men or not.
I don't know either, but I do like how like specific that had to get to.
We've been having a fun day today.
It's been a great day today, honestly.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah. You know what? I agree. So we're not going to look at The Naked Now today.
No, it's The Naked Truth.
The Naked Truth?
No, the Naked Time. Sorry, I keep calling it the. I have been calling it the Naked Truth for the last like week. I keep
Is that the
meaning
title of
Naked
something?
Time. I think
Is there
it
a movie
is.
called that?
That feels like it would be the name of something, doesn't it?
There's a movie with Leslie Nielsen called The Naked Gun.
Yes, and
That
he's
must-
amazing.
Yeah?
Oh, I love him.
I
And there's
rem-
apparently an old TV show
Okay.
from the 90s called The Naked Truth. And I saw something briefly about a movie from like the 50s, but I can't find that now. But like if I was Googling it, it came up with like 1957. And then now there's no, like I'm just seeing about the TV show when I take away the dates. So I don't know what's going on.
Now that I've been watching TOS, I'm going to watch some even older TV shows. Saint's going to make me watch The Prisoner, where the guy gets chased by a weather balloon.
I've never heard of that one.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I think it's a British kind of a spy show. I think it was very short. I think it got canceled after like 8 episodes or something.
Honestly, if you're
I
looking
don't
for
know
older
anything about
shows,
it.
Dr. Chaos, his
Oh, yeah.
family are all really into like the old 60s and 50s stuff, like Gilligan's Island and that.
Yeah,
So-
I'm sure Farscape was not during that time,
Yeah.
but I do have to look at that also.
One of the, you know what? Maybe now that you've said it, maybe we do that on Thursdays.
I'm into it. I'm into Jim Henson in space on Thursday. You remember those pigs that went to space?
Yeah,
I like them a lot.
Link Hog, Hogthrob. I think
Link Hogthrob was the name of. Tell me that's the name of the captain.
Yeah,
Hogthrob.
something like that. Yeah.
That sounds filthy.
Well, it's supposed to be a joke on Kirk.
Kirk. I'm gonna call Kirk Lincoln Hogthrob from now. Jesus. Do you have
Captain Link Hogthrob, First Mate Piggy, and Dr. Julius Strangepork.
Yeah!
Leading
Oh my
the crew
God.
aboard the Swine Trek.
Forget it. My new alias is Julius Strangepork. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's wow. Pigs in Space. We'll cover it on a bonus episode.
You know what? I would be down especially if I can get like all the little clips of them, because like it's always
all right in a row. Yeah, it's in the.
it's always like a 5-minute little stint of the show, right? Like a
It's
1
a
to 5 minute
sketch,
stint.
yeah.
So if we can find where they are, I'm down for a bonus episode of that where we just kind of like do one after another, up to and including the one with Luke Skywalker.
Oh, they met.
Mark Hamill
Mark
did a
Hamill.
cameo.
Yeah.
He did a guest appearance.
Yeah, they would have a. For anyone listening, we're talking about the Muppet Show, the one from the late 70s, early 80s.
yeah.
I want to say.
78 through 83, I think.
And they would have a host, like Saturday Night Live would have a host. They'd have a
It's not a host, it's a guest. It's
a guest star. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because the
Mark
host was
Hamill.
always Kermit. Sorry, 76
Okay.
to 81, my mistake.
Yeah.
I've just double checked it. But yeah, so they had an episode with Mark Hamill on it, and he was dressed as Luke Skywalker off and on throughout it. Like they did a basically a Star Wars episode, which isn't in theme with this show, but
That's it. We're allowed to talk about Star Wars. Just to make sure.
I know. I'm just saying it's not a Star Trek related, but they did do Pigs in Space, because you can't have Luke Skywalker on your show and not do a
Not
space.
do Pigs in Space. Yeah.
Exactly. And the part of it that I have always, like, ever since we rewatched this episode a couple of years ago, and I've been super amused about ever since, is at the end of the episode, they always have like the whole cast come out, including the guest star, and they all, cheer and scream and woo, we did a great show as the credits come up.
Yeah.
And on this one in particular, this is before any of these properties were owned by Disney. There was some offhand, I don't remember what the remark was now, but there's an offhanded remark about one day Disney owning Star Wars and Muppets.
Oh, wow.
Or like something relating to that, with like, it was very Disney centric, whatever they did. Or like they had like Mickey Mouse ears up in the sky or something. I don't remember what it was, but it very much was like these all being under the mouse, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was really well done, and I loved it.
Oddly prescient.
Yeah, I think the Muppets were bought out like 10 years or so later anyway, so
Okay.
it wasn't as prescient as it sounds, but yeah, no, it was
Kind of
good.
funny.
It was very funny.
Do you have the information about the Naked Time?
Yes.
in front
The
of you?
show that we're actually watching is
Yes.
The Naked Time.
All right.
So I've got it.
3?
Today's
4.
episode is number 4, yeah.
4, okay.
It's episode 5 of our podcast. It's episode 4 of the show.
Thank you.
Stardate 1702 to 1705. So probably over the course of like a couple of days this takes place. But first air date was September 29th of 1966. It was directed by Mark Daniels, who directed The Man Trap.
Okay.
So he's back.
Cool. Scary episode. Neat.
Yep. John D.F. Black is our writer, who is new to for us. We haven't had him write anything yet. But again, we're fairly early in, so.
Yep.
And then IMDb gives it a 7.8 out of 10. This is another...
Cool.
Again, so far they've all been
almost
7 up.
8. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the weakest show we've seen so far per IMDb has been Charlie X. So yeah. And then you had your question of the week. Would you like me to ask it, or do you want to ask it?
Oh, the question. Why don't you go ahead?
If a GIF of you were to become an instantly recognizable meme, what would you be doing?
Okay. Do you want to watch is it Naked Time?
Is it Naked Time, or is it The Naked Truth? Or
it's
or is it something else altogether?
What I meant to ask was, is it currently, right now, is it now finally Naked Time?
Yeah, no, we're only like 3 hours late to starting the show. We're good. Let's go.
Okay. Hi, welcome back to The Least Ready Room, a podcast where Dave and Chris, I'm Dave, consume every possible drop of Star Trek related media. Today, if you have not gathered, we are looking at the TOS episode, The Naked Time. Yeah, let's get right to it. I don't have much else to say. We'll get to the answers of the question of the week after we do the breakdown. Here we go. Alright, I'm hitting record.
Okay.
It's been a long and silly day.
It has. It's been a good day, though.
What, how much of that episode was similar to The Naked Now?
More than you'd think, actually.
Yeah?
So it's the same kind of a thing with like the touch base, disease that affects people to a primal level. The Naked Now was sex based, like everyone was just having, sexy orgies and didn't care about like the environmental controls. But like just like this, The Naked Now started with a starship that had a bunch of people frozen.
Oh, a starship.
Yeah. And
this was like a base on it. Well, no, please tell me about The Naked Now.
Yeah, it was still a bunch of people like who were frozen.
Okay.
So it came off like they even said it in the show where the people who were frozen and they just didn't care. And that came up in The Naked Now too, where it's like, oh, these people, like the environmental controls were out of whack and they froze to death, or whatever. Like they didn't care to fix any of the stuff. They were just like dealing with it by being in that space and dying there. And I don't remember exactly how they got the disease because, frankly, I don't. But crew member gets sick, touches people, passes on disease. Disease spreads like wildfire throughout the ship. The main thing that I remember is like on Naked Now, it was a boning disease, whereas here it was like just less obvious sex, more fundamental characteristics, right? Like you got Riley is clearly an Irish king versus Irish king who has a harem of women. You know what I mean? Like that was the big difference that I noticed.
It was a boning disease.
It was, yeah. No, that's why Tasha Yar and Data and his fully functional.
Yeah.
So everyone who got touched with it became like not a shipwide orgy that they were all participating in it simultaneously, but like they were breaking off into couples and such and going to their respective rooms and doing the deed there, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
And that was a big difference. Whereas like again here it's more like individual activities, right? Like Sulu takes his shirt off and swashbuckles, and
Sulu is a swashbuckler at heart.
Yep. And Riley starts singing Irish folk songs and yeah.
That's mostly, and demanding ice cream. That's
Well.
and also shutting off the engines while they fall out of orbit for 19 minutes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was it. That was really like it's a lot that was similar. Definitely enough different that like it felt like its own story, but a lot of similarities.
Okay. So yeah, so in this episode, The Naked Time, they go down to a planet where there is a scene from GoldenEye. Now, this is I guess I should mention this. That the video, the N64 GoldenEye, not the movie.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, I don't really remember all the places they go to in that movie. A lot of them. Wow, where am I? At the Bond Castle, where everyone froze to death. They do mention early on. I'm pretty sure they say something about this planet being in danger of disintegrating, or that it is going to disintegrate.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were speculating that the planet may have been destroyed in the end, I don't know. We may as well mention now that we were both baffled by the end of this episode.
Yeah, it just. I was watching, and I said it during when we were watching it too. Like a couple times when we've been watching stuff, I'm like, I feel like I have missed something, and then I'm able to piece it together by the end of the episode and make it make sense.
Sure.
That's not what happened here. I still don't understand the ending very well. It just doesn't feel like it was cohesive, and maybe I missed something earlier in the episode, and that's why. But I don't understand what happened in there at all. Like it's just something was weird.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess I mean, we're not totally going in order quite yet. We can speculate upon the end, unless you would like to start with the.
I think for anyone who's listening to the podcast, they may actually prefer
to talk about the episode in a more because I mean, this is the first one that we are like, wow, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, I think for ease of audience to be participatory and understand what we're confused by, a brief rundown of the episode wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Do you want? I got it. So it starts off. We see as you said, the Bond villain
hideout on a frozen planet with frozen people and a man and a plastic woman.
Oh man, that mannequin was so bad.
One of the victims is a plastic woman.
Oh, even this is just the episode felt kind of all over the place. So bear with us. But so yeah, they see we start off with this base and they go in and it's Spock and a crewman of some sort. I don't remember his name. With my apologies. Thank you.
His name is Joey. Sorry, 1 moment. His name is Joey Tormolen.
Okay. So Joey and Spock show up at this place and they're all like, hey, let's go investigate what's going on. And they go in and they start their investigation and they are in the least airtight hazmat suits I have ever seen. Spock takes off in one direction and Joey starts exploring the main room where the whole episode begins with them. And he foolishly takes off a glove and puts his hand on the side of a console table where they did it was cool looking, but a trick where they have blood type ooze drip sideways onto his hand, and it
leapt onto his hand like a symbiote.
Yeah, and then he rubs his nose with this bare hand that's now been infected. He took his
glove off to fuck with his iPhone.
Yeah, he took his glove off and then he had his hand on the console, got the disease on his hand, and then rubbed his face under the hazmat suit.
Great moves, Joey.
Yep, totally pro. Clearly has been trained by Starfleet's biggest and brightest. Then puts the glove back on in time for Spock to come in, none the wiser to him being, infected. They do their scans and determine that the people here just didn't care and just died. And then they go back to the ship. And they get their check over by McCoy.
And Christine Chapel.
Actually, no, that wasn't Christine yet.
She's not there yet?
No, because this was the tilt table that the other guy had to hold upright, remember?
Oh, right, yeah. They had to have an extra hold the swinging table up.
Yeah,
but Christine Chapel is here. And also, maybe the uniforms we end up settling on might be here as well in this episode.
Yeah, it does look like it's one of the later in the production series, and I don't have the list of production numbers, so I can't tell you where it was in that order. But it does look like it was later into the production. Just the uniforms are starting to do the change that we had talked about in a previous episode, where they started off with a very distinct the Cage outfit, and then when it became actually syndicated for television, they changed their outfits. And then over the course of the show, for the first year and a half, they kind of moved into a final outfit that they ended up having across the ship. So, actually, at one point, even when I was looking up a couple weeks ago, we were doing this, and I was looking up like the banding and insignias for your rank in this episode in the series.
Okay.
And they actually had it as the show progressed, and they were changing those clothing. The directionality of the banding actually changes. So earlier in it, I think it was pointing to the right, and later in the show, it points to the left. And there's actually scenes where so they'd have like two different characters with a shirt where the banding pointed left and the banding pointed right. So,
okay, interesting.
Yeah, I'm not paying that close attention to it, so I can't guarantee which way. I obviously don't remember which one's at which point in the show at this point, because I read about it and I just remember that this was a thing, right? So
sure.
But yeah, so they check over Joey. Joey comes back fine. They check over Spock. Spock comes back fine. Joey goes up and starts doing his job at the helm. I think he's Khan, isn't he? He's at the con.
Joey goes to the rec room and causes a big problem and infects O'Reilly.
I thought there was a moment on the bridge first. Okay, maybe I'm mixing
he said
up.
O'Reilly goes back up to the bridge after encountering Joey, who has got a despair. He's got a big space despair going on in the rec room.
But yeah, so it's very clear something's wrong, and he goes to sickbay to get looked at further. And Riley, who's now infected, goes up to the bridge and eventually starts singing and demanding things, and just
ice cream.
Clearly, yep.
Well, not
clearly
until
is not.
Eventually, he takes over the ship and demands ice cream.
Yeah, but at this stage, he's clearly not feeling well, and he also gets ordered down to sickbay. But that's not where he goes.
But first he infects... Well, he does go to sickbay to infect Christine Chapel. But before any of that happens, he infects Sulu, who really gets sweaty and really wants to go to the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird episode. I wouldn't be surprised if someone had been doing some acid when they were writing this. Like, it's a very weird episode.
I don't know if they exactly act like they're on acid, but everyone is on drugs, basically. I mean, we're approaching... Basically, once O'Reilly starts going around and infecting Chapel, and Sulu is also running around naked, and he's wearing pants, but topless and sweating. I always want to describe him as naked, because that's so much more... And it's called The Naked Time. Yeah.
No, but he's running around, and I think it was Spock starts making the... Yeah, Spock starts making the educated and accurate assumption that these people are acting on their base, not needs, but who they are at the core. So, like, Riley is descended from Irish kings, and Sulu is clearly an 18th century swashbuckler.
French swashbuckler.
Yeah, because Richelieu. And they just I'm gonna say it badly on purpose because I can't. My French accent is terrible. So
okay.
So they are clearly, something is very wrong with a lot of the crew, and it's spreading like wildfire. And they start trying to develop a cure for it. And around here, it starts really getting messy for me and what was happening.
Okay.
Because, like, you're cutting to, like, Sulu jumping out of a door, swashbuckling down the halls. And
chasing people around. There's a guy screaming at a paintbrush.
Exactly. There's the stuff with Scotty trying to cut into a bulkhead to be able to try and reaccess the systems and get them away from Riley, who's singing and yelling across everything and modulating the system so that they can't turn him off, as Uhura keeps getting, like, trying to do, and... Oh, it's just a mess.
So O'Reilly is the big problem in this episode. Basically, he tricks Scotty out of the engine room. He goes in there. We don't find this out yet, but he turns off the engines because that's fun. And that's why. So he's on the intercom. He's Captain O'Reilly now. He's taken over the ship. He demands ice cream. He's singing folk songs. He's drunk as hell. Yeah, Scotty is trying to... Scotty spends a large portion of the remainder of the episode cutting a hole in the bulkhead so he can touch the wiring and they can run in and grab O'Reilly out of the engine room.
Yeah.
At which point they realize they have 19 minutes before they will all die. And the remainder of the episode has got to be at least 45 minutes long.
It sure feels like that. And yeah, like they're desperately...
No one is in a rush ever after learning that they have 19 minutes left.
Well, like, at one point, Kirk's like, we've got 12 minutes, Scotty. Hurry up, we need the engines back. And Scotty's like, well, it's going to take me a half hour. No, I can't do it any faster than that, so too bad.
Right,
like,
so That's why Spock has to come in with the magic transfiguration potion that turns the ship on so fast it goes back in time.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And-
that's what happens.
And then they travel back in time by 3 days, and the ship has possibly blown up the planet, and the planet is rebuilding itself over the course of them backing through time by 3 days, and it's just weird.
It really
It's a good episode. I like the episode up until about the midway point. Like when everyone's infected and they're trying to get the ship back under control, and then it goes weird and I'm lost, you know? Like I loved it up until then.
it does not land. Like that ending is very strange.
Yeah. Like I'd say the first half hour of it solid like 7 to 8, you know what I mean? But like that last bit just what?
It goes on for so long. Like, yeah, at one point, yeah. So when Spock says, "Okay, now we have 12 minutes left," this is after they catch Sulu. They figure out that everyone's drunk. Yeoman Rand and Christine Chapel are here. Yeah. But at 12 minutes, Chapel is trying to seduce Spock. Everyone is into Spock. And Spock gets very emotional. And yeah, this is really what the real...
Yeah, this is where it really started to go downhill.
When I really started to talk about how they're supposed to have 10, 12 minutes left. So Nurse Chapel, and this is the first time we've seen Nurse Chapel. We don't know her as a character at all, but we've seen a lot of people trying to flirt with Spock, which is really funny. And, Nurse Chapel, like before even Uhura in the modern stuff, let's not talk about Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, please no.
But, well, you don't, yeah, and you've not seen it yet, so I won't.
Yeah, no, I do know about them from the remake movies with Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto, but...
Oh, is Chapel? Oh, Uhura.
With Uhura, not with
Okay.
Chapel.
Right. But yeah, so after that, Spock starts thinking about his human mother, which again, the last episode aired, we heard that he had a human ancestor. Now it's his mother, and he was never able to tell her that he loves her. And I swear to God, while we have 10 minutes left until the destruction, we spend 2 of them watching Spock cry at a table next to a computer.
Yeah, we watch him and I mean that goes along with the disease, because they do make it very clear that people who are infected just don't give a shit. They don't care what's happening
right.
around them.
Yeah.
So I mean it's in line with that, but also it feels like we as the audience, and I don't mind the idea of them showing this. I think it's a good idea to show it. One, that it helps give a bit more Spock exposition. 2, it helps to show that as much as he is a Vulcan and cold, and I'm feeling there are feelings under there, and he just has a really tight leash on them all the time. But I don't feel that we needed that much of it.
Yeah.
It felt like the scene it's a product of the era to a degree, right? Where we talked about this before, where shows from the 60s and 70s and 80s, they just have a very different need when it comes to writing. They take
Yes.
longer in general. They aren't written to the shorter attention spans maybe, or whatever. Modern television just has tighter writing in general. There's more happening more quickly.
Just
And
a
I
different
feel
sense
like
of pacing.
Yeah, and I feel like that really, really struck a chord with this episode, that the pacing for the time was probably fine, but for modern times, I feel it was just way too slow in a lot of ways. And that scene in particular really helps to do that.
Oh, sure.
I appreciate us
Yeah.
seeing this and seeing that humanity from him, but it went on for far too long.
This is actually a comedic trope nowadays, that someone says we have 15 minutes to live, and then you spend 45 minutes watching all kinds of different characters doing stuff while becoming anxious. It's just kind of a thing that happens now.
I frequently time them.
It kind of doesn't, because it's funny. Because it's
Yeah,
something...
I will time them when that comes up nowadays. I like to see if they actually do it in the time they say they're going to.
There's a very famous example would be the Dragon Ball Z cartoon, where in fact, the very most famous maybe example of it. At one point, a guy does a super attack that's supposed to destroy the planet they're standing on. And for the next, like, maybe 4 or 5 half-hour-long episodes, everyone is still standing there on the planet going, the planet's about to explode. We're going to need to get out of here. It seriously goes on for like another month before the planet does
I've heard
eventually.
of that.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
I've actually heard about that scene.
So this is the first time someone did that.
I don't know if it's the first time in television history, but
No,
it's
but I mean,
definitely
it's a whole
an early
thing.
example of it. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I feel like Batman, the Adam West Batman, did that more.
Oh, I bet they've done that kind of thing. Yeah, for sure. Oh man, maybe I should take a look at that monstrosity.
Oh
if
man,
if I'm going to be looking at 1960s television.
I'm not doing a second podcast about 1960s TV. That one has a lot to talk about, though. I think you're going to enjoy it if you do watch it. It's a be ready for silly. It's so much more campy than this and takes itself not at all silly. Yeah, sorry, not at all seriously. I mean, yeah, no, it was a weird episode overall. Like, yeah, I'd say the last third of it, like the last act, was really just almost nonsensical and expects a lot of inference from the audience.
Yeah. So before it gets really weird, Kirk comes in, and at some point someone has said, maybe even Kirk says, we have 4 minutes. And so he starts telling Spock, I think that he wishes the Enterprise would turn into a human woman and he could take her on a beach vacation. Is that what Kirk is saying? Or is he just speaking gibberish?
He was looking at Rand and reaching out towards Rand and catching himself.
Before when Spock's crying about his mom, Kirk is like, I want to. He's talking about the starship. He's like, they call it a she.
Right. Yeah,
I wish I could go sit on a beach with her for a week and not have to be the captain. And like, are you saying you wish the ship was a girl? And then when he's looking at Rand, he's like a human girl. Like he's confused about the idea of being in love with a girl and not a ship.
Yeah, I feel like to a degree, some of that is gibberish. Just the trope of ship's captain in love with their ship, right? That is an old trope of seafaring shows, even too, right?
Married to outer space.
Married to the job, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
At that point, I wasn't totally paying attention to what he was saying.
It was just at that point it started feeling really nonsensical in general. But
everyone was drunk, and then it gets completely nonsensical.
Well, yeah, and that's part of it. Is I think as well as much as anything else, they're trying to show just the ship-wide descent into madness at that point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have that, and then we have Kirk getting his shirt ripped open because there's no other excuse for Bill Shatner to take his shirt off in this episode.
How did it happen?
McCoy comes on. At some point, unbeknownst to us, McCoy has figured out some kind of hypodermal spray.
Yeah, he cures the disease. The ship's still going to crash.
Yeah, so he shows up on the bridge and he rips Kirk's shirt open, stabs him with the hypodermic.
Oh.
In the shoulder, and that's why he gets ripped open, is to access the skin, because apparently you can't do it over the shirt. Or in the neck instead.
Yeah, it had to be surely not in 3035 or wherever we're at.
2466. Okay. No, sorry, 2266. I think it was.
Oh, that's soon.
I actually looked it up. And now I can't. Yeah, 2266. But yeah, so he gives him the needle, and Kirk is cured. He didn't cure everyone else with that, but then they have the engines falling, the sound over the speakers that is painful to everybody, and then they fix the ship up enough with the magical sorcery that is the antimatter, I believe it was, that they put into the engines.
Yeah, some new primer mix of antimatter fuel that Spock has whipped up. Yeah,
and Spock, they don't have time to put it in there properly because it's going to take 4 minutes, and they've got like 10 seconds, so they just punch it, and that's what kicks off the 3 days and behind.
Yeah, and also, and I don't know exactly when Spock was cured, but it sure seems that when they come out of the time warp, everyone's fine, even though
the only one who got the needle was Kirk. Yeah,
maybe they all got the needle off camera before Kirk was ushered in or something. But Well, no, because Bones comes in to get. Well, anyway. They fly through a time warp. And is Sulu's on the bridge, right? Is Sulu like? Isn't he the one that observes
That the ship,
that the time
thing
is time is going backwards?
I can't picture who it was at the end of the show.
Yeah. Wow. Bad job on me.
both
I'll
of us.
say.
On both of us. Well, I'll take credit for that too. I should have paid more attention there.
Because
I was just
didn't
too busy trying to make it make
Sulu
sense,
get
you know?
cured. I don't even. Anyway, yeah. So they go
No,
back
but
in time 3 days.
even checking the summary and walkthrough of what happened in the episode on Memory Alpha, the only one who actively gets the cure is Kirk.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we saw.
Yeah, McCoy comes in, rips his shirt, gives him the antidote, and then he sits in the chair and he mumbles something about
A
Brand,
human
and then
girl. Yeah.
Yep, and then a cured Sulu was able to pilot the escape from orbit.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't remember seeing anyone else get stabbed with the antidote in any way, shape, or form. But apparently by curing Kirk, you cure the whole ship.
And Sulu must have been cured at that point if he was even on the bridge. I mean, this man was running around covered in sweat, swinging swords.
Well, that's what it says on here, that he was already cured and he's able to. So.
Yeah, so somewhere off screen, McCoy cured everyone.
Yeah.
And in order to escape the gravity of the planet, we need to use a special intermix formula with black matter, antimatter to be sent back in time 3 days. I know I've said that about 5 or more times, but there is no point ultimately to the fact that they went back in time 3 days. It's almost like, well, they can say, well, we didn't really get drunk and act like baboons.
Yeah, this clearly never happened. Yeah.
It doesn't really change or solve anything else, and then the credits roll.
I feel like that might have just been to prime the audience for time travel in this season.
This thing may occur. We might be doing time warp.
Yeah. Like, taking it outside of the context of this specific episode, it feels like a good moment for them to just be like, hey, so, we're doing sci-fi and time travel's a thing. Like, it feels like it might be a literary thing in that respect.
Yeah, they might just discover time travel in the end of this episode.
As a quick heads up, glancing through, it looks like when they were talking about the balance for the antimatter-matter implosion,
yes.
That's around where McCoy discovers the cure for the affliction and gives it to Sulu right away.
Oh, okay. I was also quite surprised when after the time warping event occurs, someone says, or this might even be before they actually go into the time warp, someone says the engine's imploded, which I guess was good. Like, Spock wanted to cause an implosion, but to me,
it looks like it's related to that matter-antimatter thing. It's a controlled implosion.
Okay.
But as part of restarting the engines.
Kirk says what happened, and someone says the engines imploded, and I said, what?
Yeah, both of us were confused by that.
At that point we rewound to watch.
Yeah. No, I think what's happened here is when it got wild, there was a lot of cuts to different things happening, and I think we just might have missed one or two of them. When I'm reading the synopsis they've got here, it looks like around the switch between Act 3 and 4 is when a few of the items that we got confused by actually happened. So we probably just missed them altogether.
Okay.
I'm willing to take that. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm down. You know what? Like I'm not going to pretend that I watch every second of it 100% with my eyes open and like get everything in. I miss stuff. I'm human, so I'm not Data.
Good.
Yeah, but no, it's.
You're not expected to have
perfect recall.
Whatever happened, whatever we missed, must have happened really quick.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. It looks like it might have been 2 very quick back-to-backs because it looks like it's in the same. It's literally 2 sentences on here. It's a cold restart with a controlled matter-antimatter implosion in balanced engines is possible, but requires Spock's attention. Yeah. Meanwhile, McCoy has discovered a cure for the affliction after administering it to Sulu. Like that's the extent of what they say. So I think it was just 2 very quick
flashes,
and we just missed them. Yeah.
In between a 20-minute scene of Spock at a table with his head in his hands, weeping.
Yeah. It is.
That's what made an impression on me.
Yeah, no, it looks like that'll happen after Riley gets taken away by security. And after we've discovered that the engines are shut down properly.
Boy, O'Reilly was really having a blast.
Yeah, no, Riley was having a great time.
He should not have turned off the engines, but everyone should have gotten ice cream.
Man, now I want ice cream.
I don't have any.
We do, but it's... Oh, I do have ice cream I like. I have ice cream I like.
All right.
All right, so yeah, that was the episode.
5.
You know what?
Yeah.
I really do agree. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but I feel zero compunction to watch it again. The only thing from this episode that really will stick with me from before and now is just Sulu without a shirt running around with a sword. That is literally the part of this episode that's going to stick with me forever. The rest of it is just, in my head, a gobbled mess of what the fuck.
An unbelievably iconic image.
The most iconic image.
I'm going to ask my Discord both questions.
The silly one and the actual one?
Yeah.
Okay. I might answer in Discord then with the silly one, but I'm only really... The one that matters really is the GIF one, in my opinion.
And and I'll be asking this. The GIF one is the main one.
Yeah.
But someone might have an answer for the silly one.
And honestly, if people are listening to us and they want to get in on these weekly questions, they just need to join your Discord.
Yeah, I do. I do mention that.
Yeah,
because
and
this one
again now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll be asking this question at the end of the episode that I'm going to be editing next, which is Where No Man Has Gone Before. So, yeah.
Okay.
We kind of talked already about me not getting confused about what order things are in, but so basically by the time we get to this point of this podcast, I'll be about to read the answers to if you became an instantly recognizable GIF, what would you be doing? And also the silly question, which is what type of weapon were you wielding that time that you got drunk and naked and ran around the spaceship wielding a weapon?
If this was a possibility. And you know what? If this was a possibility and this was a real thing, actually, I've talked about this with Sean in the past too. If I was in Star Trek, I'd probably be in sciences or medical. So my entire weapon would be something sciencey or medical, like a hypo spray or like a tricorder or something. You know what I mean?
Man, these guys didn't even have hypo sprays yet. These guys were using straight up syringes.
Yep. No. Well, we saw there was actually open cavity medical.
Oh yeah,
surgery.
yeah. Yeah. By the way, Joey dies.
Yeah.
Joey just did not have the. In fact, like really, the beginning of this episode. Yeah, McCoy says he just didn't want to live, and he was just the beginning of this episode when Joey, the first one, starts getting sick. He's saying like, "What are we doing out here in space?"
Yeah.
Do you realize we're in space? It's actually, that's kind of like good and scary.
Yeah, no, the first 2/3 of the episode were excellent. Like I was really solidly enjoying it. And if the last like third of it was, more cohesive and more like less, I don't know, just less weird. This would definitely have gotten a higher rating from me. I did not enjoy the ending of this at all.
I think it's funny that you had to point it out to me, but it's obviously part of the point is that they know they have like 4 minutes and they're dicking around because that's what happened to the guys that froze to death. So, and the plastic woman.
Oh man, that mannequin.
I get it, but that trope just doesn't work with me. It's like when someone's like, especially when someone like is going to be underwater and you're like, that guy's got a minute to live. And then you see like 15 other things happen while it keeps cutting to the guy thrashing around underwater, it's like I can tell that they're trying to trick me into having anxiety.
Yeah, and like overall decent premise of an episode. It wasn't executed as well as it could have been, I think. I appreciate that we got to see, Majel Barrett in the
Oh, yeah.
her most iconic role.
I don't think we even mentioned. I said
You mentioned that
Christine
Chapel was in it.
Chapel many times, but I did not mention. As we've said in previous episodes, she is played by Majel Barrett,
and it's good to see her in the iconic role that gave her, like, her springboard into future Star Treks. Because without this, I don't think she would have been the computer. I don't think she would have been Luxana Troy. This was good. I'm glad to have seen her. Awesome we still haven't seen Chekhov.
Yeah, I really don't. Did we find out that he is in season 1? I would almost guess he might not even be in season 1.
I don't know when he is. I'd have to go look it up, and I'm not doing it.
It takes a while. Yeah, we don't need to do it right now.
Yeah, I know. No, he's the only one of the main cast at this point that we haven't run into.
Yep.
At all.
This was a big Scotty episode, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, no, him and Sulu both got a lot of screen time. This actually, honestly, this really felt like a B-cast episode a lot more than anything else. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, Kirk's there, and so is Spock and McCoy.
Yeah, but less.
There's a lot more focus on Uhura and on Rand and Chapel and Sulu and Scotty. Like, a lot of the B characters got their time in the time in the light. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and stuff going on all over the ship, and
yeah, and really
looking at different characters and what they're doing.
Yeah, no, it had a lot of positives about it. Again, I just think it was just execution was a miss for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the pacing and the weird ending. How often it's not it's not too common for me to go to say out loud what and then rewind a TV show. So
and like I would not I when we're watching stuff together, because we watch stuff together all the time outside of this as well. I don't think we've ever actually done that before, where we've stopped something and rewound it without it being hey, can you pause this? I gotta go take a call, and then back it up to be able to be before we left off. Like, that's the only time we've ever backed up. I don't think we've ever had to back up because I don't understand what just happened. And your explanation or my explanation is still not clear enough for it to make sense.
I guess the engines imploded meant something different in 1966. It's just because I think that means the engines are gone.
And I get that it's the implosion is what they were looking for.
They were trying to work,
but like, no, you tell me that the engines implode or explode. Anything with a plode, I'm thinking you no longer have that thing.
Disaster,
yeah. But anyways.
Yeah,
I think that's all I've really got to say on this. It was a time. It was a trip. I'm glad we watched it, and I don't feel the need to go back.
It was a time, huh?
It was a time. It was a thing.
A naked time.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you as always.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm loving it. We're 5 episodes in. Next episode is The Enemy Within and your little unicorn dog. So
I'm excited. I can't wait for the little dog. It's not often that you get a little dog on Star Trek. There's a couple.
It is really like, it's a lap dog. It's 100% just a tiny little thing.
It's a good little dog. Yeah, it really is.
It is so cute. Oh my gosh.
Unicorn dog. All right. All right. Thank you for listening to The Least Ready Room. And speaking of that little unicorn dog, this week's upcoming question of the week is, if you could have a pet from Star Trek, what type of pet would you like? And I suppose it could also even be an animal that is a character, because we've discussed this a little bit. The way I don't need to describe the schedule at which we record and I edit these, but yeah, we've already recorded the next episode in which we talk about. Well, actually, you've heard us talk about Spot already. Was that in this episode, or maybe even the previous one? We already talked about pets. We already talked about Spot. It can be Spot. I mean, Spot's great. Does anyone else have a cat on Star Trek? Any other cats on Star Trek? Anyway, the upcoming question of the week is, if you could have a pet from Star Trek, what would you like? The Star Trek pet shop is opening. I'm here to sell you Tribbles and Targs? Are they called Targs? Anyway, let's talk about the question of the week from last week, this episode, which is about, it was the question, there were 2. Question number 1, the real question is, if an animated GIF of you was to become an instantly recognizable internet meme, what would you be doing? Oh, should I do these? Let's try to do them in order because there are two. Okay. Anyway, that first question. Locke replied, "What would I like to be recognized for, or what would I actually be recognized for?" Important discretion. The former may be kneeling down to pet a cat with the meme text, "There's always time for you." But if the latter, I'd be putting on a nondescript hat and sunglasses and climbing into a big cardboard box saying, "Perfect, I'll be safe in here." Saint had no idea, and Locke said, "I can easily imagine a meme gif of you standing over a Mass Effect-style galaxy map, maybe with steepled fingers nodding sagely." Pete said, "I'm going to have to go with this one," which is a picture of him with a finger in his mouth, Dr. Evil style, holding a very comical sign that looks like it's made with golden glitter. Not professionally crafted, a handcrafted protest sign with golden glitter that says, fuck you, I'm so beautiful." And he also said he would choose one for me, which is a picture he took of me recently holding a gold and black 3D printed skull, giving real Death Stranding vibes. The skull is, anyway. I'm doing like the Hamlet thing. Is that Hamlet? Alas, pure Yorick. I'm doing a Shakespeare thing. Okay, so Weebs says, "The question sounds like if you wanted to go viral, what would it be for? But the nature of virality these days is pretty much either going full cheese dick and trying to get TikTok clout by harassing people at Walmart, or being caught doing something wholesome or interesting that you would generally normally be doing. Since I'm not that kind of cheese dick, and there is nothing wholesome or interesting about what I do, then I would attack my coworkers by throwing bits of brain at them out of the cracked skull of this one dude I'd love to be dead." Wow. And then he says, "Just kidding, FBI." Well, he sort of mixed in. He sort of mixed in the answer to the second question. I didn't expect, when I started reading that, I did not know where we were going. So anyway, the second question is, that time that you got drunk and naked and attacked your coworkers, what weapon were you using? A foolish princess replied, "Sarcasm." Pete says, "The weapon was crushed bacon-covered potato skins." Locke says, "For this one, in my case, it was a mimetic cognito hazard." A mimetic cognito hazard. I won't mention what it was, although he does specify. Other than that, yeah, those are our answers, it looks like. Yes, the question of the week next week is, what kind of Star Trek pet would you like to have? And yeah, next week Saint will be joining us for the full breakdown of is it called The Evil Within? The one with the unicorn dog. Thank you so much. This has been the Least Ready Room. We should have some kind of sign off. Did we talk about some kind of end of the show? We've been talking a little bit about the kind of scripted stuff. Anyway, goodbye.
Yeah.
Was it like when I was on crutches? Would people look at my butt? Were my pants always coming down?
I don't know. You just got really for like 2 years.
For a while, it was a thing. It was
It was a big thing, and like every time you joke about it, like, oh, I can see your butt. You'd be like, don't look at my butt. For like two straight years.
I feel like my pants came down one day. That might have been the beginning of it.
I don't know. I didn't see the instigating. It just happened one day that you were really worried about people looking at your butt.
I feel like it was when I was on crutches, because I would like kind of have to like wobble and steady myself and like hop away, and it was like where the camera was and my chair was and the bathroom was just directly behind me, so it was like unavoidable that my butt would be bouncing along.